The stars outside the viewport pulsed with distant indifference as the Imperial dreadnought Doom of Harmony drifted silently through conquered space. A monolithic testament to the Galactic Empire's pride, it bristled with weapons and ceremony, gleaming with false promise and bureaucratic arrogance. Inside, the corridors hummed with sterile order. Everything was polished, efficient, cold. And then there was the human. Eva sat serenely on the soft gray holding cell bench, legs crossed delicately under her bulging belly. She ran one hand over her stomach with the absent grace of a woman used to waiting. A serene smile tugged at her lips, betraying not a single hint of fear. If anything, she seemed amused. Her daughter Mira sat opposite her on the floor, cross-legged and doodling with an alien stylus on a purplish touchscreen slab. Her brow furrowed in the intense seriousness only 8-year-olds can summon when coloring stick figures blowing things up. The door hissed open. A towering, emerald-scaled figure ducked inside. Commander Zaldar's reptilian eyes blinked sideways as he stared at the humans with a mixture of curiosity and irritation. He carried himself like someone who had read too many military manuals, and had yet to understand why charisma couldn't be programmed. You are Eva. Homo sapien. Civilian female. Gestational unit. His translator struggled slightly with tone. This is your spawn? Eva tilted her head politely. You must be Commander Zaldar. I like your uniform. Very ironed. Zaldar's nostrils flared slightly. Praise confused him. That is correct. You were retrieved from subsector L9 following planetary assimilation. Your presence aboard this vessel is anomalous. Mira looked up from her screen. That means weird, right? She tapped her drawing, which featured a stick figure riding a missile. Daddy says I'm a delightful anomaly. Eva's smile deepened. She's precocious. The commander's tail twitched once, sharply. Your reproductive status is noted. The High Command will determine your processing level after biological indexing. We will begin scans shortly. Your mate's identity remains undeclared. State his designation. Oh, I wouldn't want to spoil the surprise, Eva replied with a honey-sweet tone that settled uneasily in Zaldar's ears. Besides, I'm sure you'll meet him eventually. He's quite resourceful. That word clung to the air like smoke. Zaldar stared for a moment longer, then pivoted out without a word. The door sealed shut behind him. A moment later, a soft chime rang and a tray emerged from the wall. A nutritional pack, 2 gelatinous cubes, and something that might have once known water. Mira sniffed the food and pushed the tray away like it had wronged her ancestors. I want waffles. Eva picked up one of the cubes and turned it over thoughtfully. Well, honey, they don't have waffles in authoritarian space fascist detention. But you can imagine they taste like waffles. Mira squinted at her. You always say that. That's not how waffles work. Everything's how waffles work if your imagination is strong enough. You're weird. Eva winked. I'm pregnant. We're allowed. Outside the holding cell, Commander Zaldar walked stiffly to the observation room where Dr. Creve, an octopoid with thick glasses and an enthusiasm bordering on the perverse, waited beside several other officials. She is far too calm, Zaldar growled. She's human, Creve replied, tentacles fluttering as he adjusted a dial. It's a known trait. Their emotional spectrums are inefficient. High tolerance for ambiguity. Disconcerting levels of sarcasm. She mocked me. She complimented your uniform. That was not genuine. It rarely is. Creve tapped the screen, where Eva now leaned back with her eyes closed, humming what the translator tagged as an Earth lullaby. Mira had shifted to sculpting a stick figure made of snack gelatin. They've refused to identify the male unit, Creve said. He may be a low-priority civilian. Or he may be military. They call him resourceful. Zaldar hissed again. Have patrols detected any incoming craft? Nothing yet. Inside the cell, Mira asked. Is he coming? Eva opened one eye. Of course he is. Are we bait? Eva shrugged. More like a lit match in a dry forest. Mira grinned. Cool. Later that cycle they were escorted, politely if warily, to the guest medical suite, a euphemism for the lab where most species got prodded. The hallway shimmered with alien sterility, every corner sharp, every panel humming faintly like it held secrets. Mira skipped ahead, chattering in her sing-song tone about her drawing, which now included lasers and a smiley sun labeled Death Ray. A shorter, pudgier alien with nervous tentacles, Captain Varn, waited outside the lab with a clipboard and a twitch in his eye stalk. "Ah, excellent, welcome, Madam Human and Small, Unit. We are simply conducting a harmless bioscan. Standard procedure." Eva gave a warm smile. "Lovely. Will there be snacks afterward?" Varn blinked twice. "We could arrange, cube-based refreshments? I was hoping for pickles dipped in caramel." Mira added, "With whipped cream." Varn paled 3 shades. Eva breezed into the room like she was visiting a spa. The scanner arced overhead, lights flickering as the machine tried to make sense of human gestation. It beeped, then beeped louder, then flashed red, confused. Creve frowned. "Her metabolic profile is shifting." "She's 9 months pregnant," Mira said, pulling a chair to sit beside the console. "You'd shift too if you had to make bones from scratch." "She's also calm. Far too calm. Most species display panic when detained under unknown custody." Eva turned her head slightly. "Maybe we're just more used to unexpected accommodations. You know, holidays with in-laws. DMV lines." The alien stared. "Never mind." Creve leaned closer to the monitor, which now spat out garbled data. "Your physiology is resisting interface," he said. "There is unusual resilience. And the child. Its neural pathways are advanced." Eva didn't look surprised. "My husband reads to the bump. War strategy manuals, mostly. He says lullabies are for amateurs." Mira nodded. "Daddy says if you can't sleep through an orbital siege, you won't last long in kindergarten." Creve backed away slowly. "Do all humans train their offspring thus?" "Only the ones who survive," Mira offered helpfully. The scanners died with a soft whine. A moment later, the lights dimmed across the deck. A low tremor rippled through the ship. Zaldar was already storming into the room. "What was that?" "Unclear," Creve muttered, adjusting his readouts. "Short-range anomaly. External sensors are being recalibrated." "Could it be the mate?" Eva sighed dramatically. "He does like to make an entrance." "This vessel is secure," Zaldar snapped. Mira coughed politely. "You keep saying that." They were escorted back to the cell with less ceremony and more armed guards. Eva stretched, yawned, and curled onto her side. "You're too calm," Mira whispered. Eva glanced at her with a conspiratorial smile. "Sweetheart, I've already planned 3 escape scenarios. Your father's probably planning 10 more. The only reason we're not out yet is because I want to finish my nap first." "Okay," Mira whispered back. "Can I be in charge of the dramatic exit?" "You get the smoke grenades." Outside, tension began to fray. Varn paced. Creve reviewed broken telemetry. Zaldar stared at the footage of Eva in still silence, unsettled. "The signal. You saw it?" Creve finally asked. "Encrypted human channel. Short burst. Single message. Traced from deep space," Zaldar said slowly. "What did it say?" The commander didn't blink. "Just one phrase." Creve's tentacles stopped moving. Zaldar's voice dropped to a growl. "I'm coming." No one spoke. No one moved. And in the human cell, Eva smiled in her sleep. The doom of Harmony drifted with unblinking menace in orbit over the broken remains of subsector L9. Its colossal shadow cast a mechanical eclipse across the dust-hazed upper atmosphere. No stars shone through the ship's reinforced hull, only flickering diagnostics and the growing edge of unease in the command deck's air. Strategist Tulvok observed the scan logs with all 5 of his ocular stalks rotating in nervous unison. He was a creature of equations, simulations, and the solemn belief that the universe operated on patterns. What troubled him wasn't the signal itself, but its absence of one. There should have been a blip. A whisper. A deviation in standard subspace background noise. Instead, they had nothing. "Run it again," Tuvok rasped, his breath bubbling faintly through his moisture mask. A junior technician obeyed, his mandibles twitching. "Sir, we've already cycled the long-range sensors 12 times. No vessel present. No approach vectors. No mass signatures." "Which is precisely the problem," Tuvok muttered. "That signal didn't come from nowhere." He turned to the Admiral seated behind him. Admiral Jarthuan's 9 eyes blinked slowly, one at a time, in the pattern of growing irritation. Massive and crustaceous, his armor seemed to grow from his body, jagged with ceremonial ridges. The veins in his jaw pulsed. "I want answers, strategist. Not poetic mysticism." "There is no poetry in silence, Admiral," Tuvok said flatly. "There is only threat." The Admiral's main claw clicked once against the armrest. Perhaps the human female transmitted something. "That, Serene One. You believe she is signaling?" "She is bait," Jarthuan growled. "And I have little patience for games involving bait." In the secure holding cell, Eva sat with her hands folded over her stomach, humming faintly. Mira lay curled at her side, legs kicking lazily against the bench as she sketched in her increasingly chaotic digital drawings. Today's theme was creative boarding strategies involving fruit. A soft ping came from the overhead speakers. "Subject Eva," the voice crackled. "Please report for re-evaluation. Strategic interview required." Eva rose with slow grace, brushing her gown flat and kissing Myra's forehead. "Back soon, love." "Try not to destabilize the Empire too fast," Mira said. "I'm almost done with the banana cannon." Eva's smile returned, subtle and knowing. "I'll be gentle." 2 armored guards flanked her as she walked. Silent, faceless, insectoid. Eva didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her silence was conversational in its own way. They led her not to the lab or interrogation chamber, but to a sleek oval room lined with pale light and devoid of furniture. Tuvok stood at its center, arms folded, each of his eyes focused independently on her. She took one look and let out a quiet, amused, "Oh dear. Someone hasn't slept." Tuvok stiffened. "You transmitted an off-band signal. Unauthorized. Encrypted in obsolete Terran military code." "I'm flattered," Eva said, folding her hands over her belly. "But that wasn't me. We detected it after your arrival. Not my fault your firewalls can't handle ambient charm." "You know what the message said?" Eva nodded. "So, I'm coming," Tuvok repeated. "Is that a threat?" Eva's eyes softened. "It's a promise." He clicked his jaws. "You're confident he will come. This make you continue to deflect questions about." "I'm not deflecting. I'm building anticipation." Tuvok paused. "The Empire has endured 5 centuries of external incursions. We have catalogued every known predator species in this quadrant. Your kind has historically required more containment than confrontation." "Containment," Eva repeated. "Is that what you call kidnapping now? You were processed according to standard pacification protocols. We were grocery shopping. And yet you remain undisturbed." She met his gaze evenly. "I'm a patient woman." The strategist paced. "What exactly is your mate's occupation?" "He's an excellent cook. Quite fond of blueberry pancakes." "Occupation?" Eva thought for a moment. "Freelance apocalypse." Tuvok stopped moving. Eva's voice lost none of its sweetness. "You think because I'm soft-spoken I'm soft. Because I'm pregnant, I'm passive. You forget, we evolved by hiding our fangs until we needed them." Tuvok recovered quickly, professionalism snapping into place like armor. "Every contingency is accounted for." "I believe you believe that." Outside the chamber, Creve stood with a datapad clutched nervously in 2 tentacles, muttering to himself. The scan logs of Eva's fetus were still scrambled, but what data they could parse was concerning. Neural development accelerated. Sensory reflexes bordering on precognition. As if the child already understood danger. Already calculating. Behind him, the corridor flickered. A light, no, an absence of light, passed through the hallway. Cameras reset. Door codes fluttered. Power grids blinked like startled eyes. Creve turned, unease slithering down his spine. Security? No one answered. On the bridge, Jarthuan was barking orders. I want a total comms blackout initiated. Lock every blast door. Initiate auto-defense protocols. Increase psychic wards on Deck 11. Psychic wards? Someone muttered. You think humans haven't dabbled? Jarthuan snarled. I've seen what they did to the Zalithri. Made them believe their own mothers were worms. Took years to unhallucinate the fleet. Alarms buzzed briefly, then died mid-note. Tulvok's console froze. The only remaining text was 4 glowing letters. Hi! His throat constricted. He jabbed a tentacle at the console, issuing a priority override. Trace the source. The technician stammered. It's everywhere. Tulvok stared. That's not possible. Eva returned to her cell shortly thereafter, greeted by Myra's cheerful. Mom, did you break their brains again? Not yet, Eva said, adjusting her gown. But I think I hurt someone's feelings. Mira beamed. Minutes later, a quiet alert pinged across every security console. Docking Bay 12. External breach. No explosions. No dramatic entry. Just a soft hiss as a forgotten maintenance airlock slid open, and pressure equalized. One camera feed flickered back online. They saw him. A lone human silhouette stood in the misted threshold, dressed in a simple Earth military uniform, sleeves rolled, hands in pockets. He wasn't armed. He wasn't armored. He was smiling. Jarthuan leaned forward. Where's the rest of him? Scanners detect. Nothing else. Just him, the tech said, voice faint. What species walks into a dreadnought alone? Tulvok's voice was low. The kind that doesn't need backup. The man began walking. Security drones activated. The feed shifted. They watched in silence as the human passed through the first checkpoint. The guards didn't engage. They were already unconscious. Not injured. Just unconscious. Every drone lost power the moment it turned toward him. He whistled softly as he moved, the tune oddly cheerful. Creve whispered, he's interfering with core systems by proximity. How? No one answered. In the cell, Mira sat up sharply. He's whistling the banana cannon song. Eva smiled wider than she had in days. Told you he'd come. Jarthuan bellowed orders. Seal the deck. Vent it if necessary. No effect, Tulvok muttered. Life support overrides are locked. By him. The Admiral's eyes pulsed. Impossible. Tulvok only said. It appears, this was not a rescue. This was infiltration. Down in the halls, the human, Jack, paused in front of a door, checked his wrist device, then casually knocked. A towering enforcer opened it, raised a weapon, then froze as Jack leaned in and said softly, I wouldn't. The weapon shorted out. The door hissed open for him. He moved like he belonged. On the bridge, panic bloomed like frost. Who is this man? Jarthuan shouted. Creve pulled up a holographic file, shaky fingers flailing. Jack Halden. Lieutenant Colonel. Human Terran Reconnaissance. Presumed inactive. Tulvok read the dossier. Decorated for psych ops, tactical warfare, and unsanctioned diplomacy? Myra's voice came through the speaker. She'd found the intercom button. Hey, Empire guys? If you're scared now, you might want to sit down. Daddy's still being nice. Eva gently took the panel away. Mira. Timing. The child pouted. Sorry. It's just, he's almost here. Jack was now walking past detention decks. 2 guards tried to stop him. He gently sidestepped one, tapped the other on the back of the neck. Both collapsed like deflated bags. He reached Eva's cell door. It slid open before he touched it. They stood facing each other for the first time in weeks. Jack's smile softened. You look radiant. Eva arched an eyebrow. You look smug. I am. Mira launched into his arms, giggling as he lifted her easily. Daddy, they made me eat a blue cube. Monsters, he said solemnly, then looked at Eva. Shall we? Eva took his hand. Alarms screamed in distant parts of the ship. Emergency protocols kicked in, too late and too confused to help. They walked as a unit, mother, father, child. The guards who tried to intercept them were gently disarmed, sometimes with a smile, sometimes with a headbutt. Jack never raised a weapon. He didn't need to. Tuvok watched it all unfold with a kind of horrified admiration. They didn't come to escape. They came to install something. What? Jarthuan snapped. Eva's voice echoed across the ship via hijacked comms. We just needed your ship's quantum mainframe to finish its upload. Thank you for your hospitality. You what? It's a surprise, Jack added, cheerful. You'll find out what it does when your fleet starts acting funny. Creve shrieked as his console displayed a flickering message. Human virus installed. Compliance ratio, 84%. Fallback protocols, not found. Mira giggled from the background. Banana cannon activated. Doors across the ship slammed open and shut. Artificial gravity spiked. Every console played a jingle unmistakably Earth-like in tone. The doom of harmony, pride of the Empire, shuddered like a sick animal. Jarthuan screamed into his comms. Get me off this ship! No one responded. As Jack and his family reached the hangar, a sleek, cloaked shuttle shimmered into view. Jack gestured gallantly. Ladies first. Mira saluted as she skipped aboard. Eva followed, calm as sunrise. Jack turned once, looked directly into the nearest camera, and said, Tell your council one thing. He smiled again. We're just a family. Imagine what the rest of us are like. Then he was gone. The shuttle blinked into nothingness. On the bridge of the Doom of Harmony, Admiral Jarthuan slumped in his chair, claws twitching. Tuvok whispered, What have we just invited into our galaxy? No one answered. The silence was too loud. The shuttle glided through a pocket of artificial silence, slipping past the disabled sentry field like a ghost unwilling to be seen. Inside, lit by the low glow of human-engineered control panels, Jack Halden sat at the helm, one hand steady on the console, the other gently resting against Eva's. Mira slept across two crash seats, a half-eaten protein bar stuck to her cheek, utterly oblivious to the symphony of chaos left behind. Jack's smile was faint but present, the kind of smile that concealed entire wars. Not smug, not victorious, just quiet, like a hunter confident enough not to gloat. His eyes, however, flicked across screens and readouts with surgical intensity. Eva spoke first. How bad did we break them? He gave her hand a light squeeze. Not irreparably. But they'll walk with a limp. She leaned back, stomach full and round, but relaxed. Good. I didn't want to cause a galactic war before lunch. He turned his gaze to her, eyes warm. Your restraint continues to inspire me. The smile they shared was the kind that came only from years of synchronized chaos. Where to next? She asked. Jack hesitated, flicked a few switches, and let the shuttle drift into high-atmospheric cloak. Nowhere fast. Not yet. I left some breadcrumbs behind. She arched a brow. You? Leaving clues? Feeling generous. Calculated. His tone shifted just enough to reveal the tactician beneath the charm. They need to know just enough to think they're recovering. That gives us time to watch what they try next. She nodded. You want them to study us. I want them to think they're winning. Back on the Doom of Harmony, corridors were still venting smoke and shattered pride. The command staff was assembling in hushed, uneven voices, like monks gathering after a failed summoning. The once pristine order of the Empire had fractured. Not shattered, yet, but stress lines crawled through its foundation like creeping ice. Admiral Jarthuan limped into the command nexus, his left leg supported by a brace hastily constructed from what might have been chair parts. His once golden carapace was cracked along one mandible, the flesh beneath exposed and pulsing. He no longer growled. He muttered. Tuvok was waiting. The strategist had removed his ceremonial headbands, his ocular stalks now bare and alert. His voice came as a rasp of static. We received another transmission. Jarthuan barely glanced up. From the humans? No, Tuvok said. From the Council. At that, the Admiral's head turned fully. They're sending reinforcements? No. They want explanations. A pause, then with even quieter dread. They want a demonstration of control. Jarthuan's good claw slammed into the console. We had control. They smiled while walking through our defenses. Smiled, strategist. Tuvok didn't respond. What could he say? No simulation had predicted humans that disarming, that precise, that unpredictable. Especially not ones pushing strollers between tactical sabotage. We underestimated them, he finally said. Jarthuan grunted. You don't say. We assumed their chaos was a flaw. It isn't. It's a feature. That thought hung heavy. Elsewhere, aboard a lesser Imperial frigate assigned to containment, a council of species sat in whispered horror. Replays of the footage from Deck 11, the hallway where Jack had disabled a 20 million crun security system by pressing a button labeled Maintenance Override, looped like a ghost story. He hadn't run. He hadn't even hurried. He'd walked like he was picking up dry cleaning. Worse yet were the fragments of conversation captured by local mics. Jokes. Laughter. The daughter asking if she could name the escape pod Banana Cannon Jr. The wife requesting evacuation be paused so she could finish her apple slices. This is psychological warfare, one diplomat muttered. Another, a translucent being with flickering eyes, leaned forward. No. This is a family vacation. And somehow, that was more terrifying. Back aboard the Halden shuttle, Mira stirred. She sat up, bleary-eyed, and blinked at the stars. Are we still in space? Jack smiled over his shoulder. Unless gravity lied to us. Mira stretched, popped her neck, and asked, Do I get to push the button again? Which button? Eva asked cautiously. The button that made their toilets talk back. Jack chuckled. That wasn't a button, kiddo. That was Dad's special code. Mira grinned with sleepy pride. I want to learn to do that. You will, Eva said. But only if you finish your galactic history homework. Mira groaned. History is boring. I want to learn more sabotage. That is history, Jack muttered. The family fell into a lull. Jack dimmed the cabin lights, letting the false starlight from the dash fill the silence. In his mind, the next moves were already forming. A dozen parallel plans based on varying responses. The Empire wasn't beaten. Just bruised. And bruised beasts were always more dangerous. You're thinking loud again, Eva said. Jack blinked. Am I? You always squint slightly when you're planning planetary-level consequences. He rubbed his eyes. It's the lighting. It's guilt. Let it go. He leaned back. They tried to dissect you. I know. They pointed weapons at our daughter. I know that too. You're scarily calm about it. So are you. He glanced at her, the weight of unspoken truths filling the quiet. Do you think they'll understand the warning? Eva sighed. They won't believe it. Not yet. They'll double down. Blame us for their ignorance. Then what? Then they'll force us to do what humans do best. Mira perked up. Passive aggression? Jack laughed. Close. But no, sweetie. Precision retaliation. The cloaked shuttle drifted away from Imperial space, routing itself through a dozen misdirected wormholes, its signature broken into mathematical noise. Behind them, the galaxy turned slowly, unaware it had been nudged. Meanwhile, within the Empire's core systems, anomalies began surfacing. Minor at first, power reroutes, misspelled planetary names, slightly off star charts. Then more severe. Surveillance logs replacing themselves with baby photos. Military AIs demanding bedtime stories before activation. The virus Jack installed was not just disruptive, it was charming. Disarmingly so. like a hacker with manners and a theme song. And at its center was one message, hard-coded in every corner of their digital infrastructure. You captured the wrong human. Back on the Doom of Harmony, Jarthuan finally stood before the Council transmission beacon. 100 alien faces watched, many expressionless, but a few hiding fear. He cleared his throat. We encountered a complication. Tulvok stood behind him, quiet and still. We secured a human female and offspring, as instructed. However, he hesitated. The mate arrived. Voices buzzed. One elder leaned forward. Alone? Yes. He breached every layer of our defense matrix without formal resistance. Another asked, was he a soldier? Tulvok stepped forward. He is what humans call retired. Laughter rippled. Nervous, confused. The word carried no comfort. We underestimated their structure, Tulvok continued. They do not wage war as we understand it. They personalize it. A counselor squinted. You mean, vendettas? No. Loyalty. Tulvok met their eyes. Humans consider vengeance a family value. They paused. Jarthuan concluded the meeting with a sentence that chilled even the mechanical interpreters. And they did all this while carrying a newborn. Later, in the silence of his quarters, Tulvok stared at the remnants of his failed predictive model. He deleted it. There was no use simulating chaos when chaos wrote its own playbook. Elsewhere in the shuttle's modest medbay, Eva laid back while Jack checked her vitals, his hand warm on her wrist. You're stable, he murmured. Baby's heartbeat is solid. I told you. You could have told me a little earlier that you planned to get captured. I did. You just grunted and asked where I put your socks. Jack smiled. I was multitasking. She chuckled, then winced slightly. Kicked again. Strong already. She'll need to be. Jack nodded, resting a hand on her belly. Think she'll be like her sister? Eva smirked. God, I hope not. From the other room, Mira yelled. I heard that. Jack looked at his wife. We keep ending up in these situations. Why is that? Because you fell in love with a diplomat who has a strategic vendetta against arrogance. And you fell in love with a saboteur who gives polite ultimatums. Eva laughed softly. You never threaten. You just suggest consequences. Jack leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers. And they never believe me. They do now. The moment lingered. Then the proximity alert chimed. Jack rose, eyes narrowing. Something's following us. Eva's hand moved to the console, fingers already adjusting scan patterns. Empire? Looks like a recon drone. No offensive weapons. Probably here to spy. Mira rushed in. Can I talk to it? Jack raised a brow. What do you want to say? Mira stood tall, cleared her throat, and in her best diplomatic voice said, This is a family vessel. We are armed with love, but also a scary dad. Please redirect your spying, or you will be mildly but thoroughly inconvenienced. Jack smirked. Not bad. Eva added. She gets that from you. They let the drone approach. Just close enough. Then Jack toggled the jamming array, flipped a single switch, and the drone's feed looped an image of the three of them smiling and waving with a message below. You're welcome to follow. But please, bring snacks. And with that, they disappeared again. Just another human family in a galaxy, not nearly prepared for what that actually meant. Darkness has a way of lingering longer in places where pride once lived. The Galactic Empire's spire world of Zeltraxis glowed dimly under storm-filtered skies, its towers sheathed in silence, its sprawl of command centers unusually muted. Inside one of its central war councils, layered with centuries of triumphal murals and banners proclaiming order through ascendancy, a different kind of gathering was underway. Hushed. Cautious. A tone foreign to the usual roar of superiority. Strategist Tulvok sat surrounded by alien peers, his robes plain, his eyes tired. He hadn't slept in 2 standard cycles. The footage had been played again. Then again. First in full color. Then infrared. Then sound only, hoping that maybe if they watched long enough, the human would slip, reveal the method, the trick, the logic behind the quiet horror he had unleashed. He never did. Jack Halden smiled too much for someone who broke starships with gestures. His wife smiled more. His daughter had giggled while sabotaging fire control. And now, the doom of Harmony was functionally scrap metal floating in low orbit, its AI locked in an infinite loop of playing bedtime songs and requesting milk. It wasn't an attack, one counselor whispered. It was something else. A message, said another. A virus. A family picnic, muttered a third. Tolvok stood slowly, one hand clasped behind his back. It was a demonstration. The chamber silenced itself. Not just of strength, he continued, but of philosophy. The human unit did not arrive to conquer. They came to educate. To correct an assumption. What assumption? Came a voice, bitter and brittle. That humans are harmless unless provoked. There were no scoffs. Not anymore. In a distant system, somewhere between a collapsed neutron border and an old mining belt, Jack Halden walked a quiet path between wild alien grass and the growing shimmer of a mobile human colony dome. Eva was just ahead, talking with Mira as the child launched toy drones at imaginary invaders. The air was dry. The sky unfamiliar. But it felt like peace. For now. Jack's hand rested on the small device at his hip, compact, nondescript, yet capable of triggering fallback contingencies that would make the Empire's worst day look like a parade. He didn't plan to use it. That was the thing about humans. Their most terrifying weapon was intent. And restraint. Behind him, the approach of footsteps. Jack didn't turn. You can breathe louder, Tolvok. The alien diplomat emerged from the thin cover of flora, face strained with travel and tension. I wasn't sure you'd recognize me. I remember every eye of every strategist who stared at my wife like she was a test subject. Tolvok accepted the barb like it was expected. I came alone. I noticed. Thoughtful. The two stood in silence. Eva, noticing the visitor, gave a brief wave before refocusing on Myra's latest attempt at launching a decoy flare made of snack wrappers. Tolvok stared. You came here. After all that. You didn't hide. Jack finally turned, his face unreadable. We never hid. You just stopped looking. The strategist's mouth twitched. Why did you let yourselves be captured? We didn't let anything happen. We orchestrated it. You baited us. You asked for proof. We gave it. Nicely. Tolvok flinched at the last word. Your version of nice disabled a dreadnought, crippled our fleet AI, and rendered 4 admirals legally insane. You're welcome, Jack said, voice light. I came to negotiate. Is that what you think this is? Tolvok didn't answer. Jack gestured to a flat stone and sat, motioning for the strategist to do the same. You want an arrangement. A treaty. I get it. But what you need is a lesson. And I'm still not sure if you've learned it. Tolvok sat slowly. I need you to understand something, Halden. Our empire is built on centuries of structure. Order. We categorize, define, file threats appropriately. You, your family, broke that. We broke your spreadsheet, Jack replied. Not your empire. If it's that fragile, it's not our fault. You're not a government. We don't have to be. You're 3 people. Exactly. Tolvok exhaled. So what now? You wait for retaliation? For fear to ferment into action. We wait for wisdom. And hope it arrives before someone gets bold again. From afar, Mira shrieked in delight as her drone exploded in midair with a burst of confetti. Tolvok blinked at the display. She's weaponizing joy. She's 8. She's terrifying. She's human. That hung in the air longer than intended. Jack's eyes didn't soften. You can't file us under manageable anymore. You can't reduce us to quadrants of aggression or tables of diplomacy. You met us on our best day, and still couldn't keep us in a box. You're warning us, Tolvok said softly. I'm reminding you. He stood, brushing non-existent dust from his uniform. "You don't have to be our enemy. But if you insist on trying, bring your best. We'll bring brunch." Tuvok looked up, skin pale. "If we back off, will you?" "That depends on your curiosity." The strategist nodded once, stood, then hesitated. "What's the name of your new child?" "Lena." Tuvok tried to smile. It looked more like a grimace. "Another one. We don't multiply. We evolve." Jack turned and walked away, leaving the strategist with that. It was enough. Elsewhere, across the Empire, the virus they had so politely introduced was still unraveling threads. Not just data, not just systems, but assumptions. Some admirals now hesitated before issuing deployment orders. Some war councils revised their high-threat classifications. For the first time in centuries, the Empire revised its doctrine not out of victory, but humility. In quiet corners, whispered phrases took hold. "Beware the family with the stroller." "Never trust a smiling human." "If the child is drawing explosions, run." And slowly, dread began to give way to something more productive: caution. For in every simulation following the event, one truth remained constant. If that family returned, it wouldn't be to send a message. It would be to end a war before it began. Back on the colony ridge, Jack settled beside Eva on a sun-warmed bench, Mira asleep on her lap. "He came," Eva murmured. "I know." He looked tired. "Fear ages people." She nodded. "Think they'll learn." Jack watched the stars. "Some will. The rest, they'll test us." Eva smiled, not kindly. "That's the mistake." Jack looked at her, really looked. "Would you do it again? Let them take you? Play the bait?" "I would. Every time. Even if I hadn't come in time?" "You always come in time." He chuckled. "One day, I might be late. I'd leave a trail." "Of what?" "Hope." "Wreckage." The silence was warm now, not heavy. And in orbit, above that quiet world, a second Imperial drone powered down its weapons, blinked once, and sent a simple message back to High Command. "They're not enemies. They're a warning. Do not ignore it." The signal was archived, misfiled, ignored by a clerk who thought himself smarter than most. He wouldn't last the year. And the Haldens? They slept soundly. Because when humans smile, it's often out of politeness. But when they do it in silence, after everything's broken, that's when the galaxy should worry.